prohibited by law from taking any action on matters that are not on the agenda. Any handouts for the commission shall be provided to the Planning Commission Secretary for distribution to the commission appropriate staff. So at this time, is there any public comment? All right. Any emails that came in or anything regarding to any comment that wanted to be shared to the record? All right. So noting none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from the special meeting of May 17th, 2021. Has everyone had the opportunity to look over the minutes and come to a finding?
I'll make
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, if there's no other further comments, I move to approve the minutes for special meeting dated May 17, 2021.
Wasn't here. I wasn't here for that.
I'll second that.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Okay, we'll take it to the overall vote. Commissioner Clement?
Aye.
Commissioner Echegoen?
Aye.
Aye. And I vote aye as well. So the minutes will pass. Okay, item 5, the public hearing. So this item is regarding conditional use permit number 2021-02 and administrative use permit number 2021-02. A request by Dwight Young to allow the on-sale of alcoholic beverages, beer and wine, and operation of an outdoor meat smoker at 358 West D Street in the city of Lemoore.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Steve Brandt, City Planner. This item, as you say, involves a conditional use permit for the operation of a beer and wine bar, as well as a administrative use permit for the outdoor use of an outdoor meat smoker at the site. Because of the existing concentration of alcohol sales in the area, you'd also be needed to make findings for public convenience or necessity, which is something required by the ABC. This is the site at 358 West D Street. It was formerly occupied by Farmer's Fury and the Coop. The type of license being applied for is a type 42 ABC license. This type allows the sale of beer and wine only, not spirits. It's mainly for off-site, but they can sell for off-site consumption in packages if they choose. This type of license does not require food sales like a restaurant, but he is proposing to offer some food, and also this type does not allow people under 21 at the site. Because of the type of use of the bar, the zoning ordinance has a number of findings that you need to make. One of them is related to areas that are near other schools, churches, or parks. So on the screen there, you can see the 3 findings that are required. This site there are 4 facilities next or within 500 feet, the 2 parks, Plaza Park and the skate park, as well as Hope Fellowship Center and Living Word Church. So staff talked with the city manager and the police chief, and we did not feel like this was something that would be an issue. We haven't heard of any complaints or any opposition. So we're recommending that you do make these findings, and there's some more reasoning in your staff report for that. In addition, the public necessity or convenience, as I mentioned, that's a requirement that ABC requires because of the concentration currently in the area. And again, in talking with the chief of police and city manager, they felt this was okay. And so they're recommending that you make that public, that finding. And then finally, with the administrative use permit, there's a picture of the smoker in in your staff report. It's not very big, but I guess it's kind of in between. The applicant may be able to tell more. It's meant to be more of a personal smoker. It's not a commercial style smoker, but it is large enough for what he's wanting to do. The administrative use permit is usually something that can be approved at the staff level, but since there's a conditional use permit also involved, the zoning ordinance says to elevate that and bring everything together to you to make a decision. So there's findings for approval for that. Those findings are the same ones that you'd be required to make for the conditional use permit for the bar, which is that this is consistent with the general plan, and that the operation is not going to have any detriment to health, safety, peace, morals, public welfare, et cetera, to the neighborhood. So really, what we're talking about is basically is this use, will it fit in with the existing surroundings, what's already there? There are some residential uses downtown in the upper floors. We mentioned the other uses, but staff is recommending approval of this. We think the findings can be met, mainly because it's been used for this type of use before at the site, and we didn't have issues then. So, so staff is recommending approval. We do have some conditions. One of them is at the time we were finishing the staff report, it wasn't sure where the smoker would actually be located. So we have a condition that says that the public works director and the fire chief get to okay the location of the smoker and make sure that it is located in such a way that it's not going to be, injurious to the public, somebody walking by or something like that. So that's really the main condition. The others are typical conditions that you'd expect for bar. We are requiring in the parking lot in the back that an additional ADA compliant parking space be striped, because there isn't one in there now. That's all I have. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from the panel?
You said you guys don't know where the smoker's gonna go yet, or they haven't determined that?
At the time we finished writing this, we didn't know. He may be able to tell us tonight. But we've written up the conditions so that you can still approve it tonight, and we can keep working with him on the location.
And also, if I read the report right, it mentions that the smoker is intended to being on the inside of the gate that's currently on the property in the front of the building, right?
That was the last thing we heard was yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just not
There's been some
different
different locations proposed. So since there isn't one, we don't know exactly where. I was leaving that open.
Any other questions or comments?
Will there be a kitchen inside the building, or will it just be more prepared inside the building?
You could ask the applicant that. My understanding is it's more of just like a preparation area.
Yeah, okay. And the smoker's probably not more than 5 feet tall, if I
Correct.
got
Yeah.
it figured out.
Yeah.
Like a small refrigerator.
Yes.
All right. So in the meantime, if there's no other questions or comments, being as this item is listed as a public hearing, I will open this discussion up to the public for such hearing at 7:13. So currently, is there anyone from the public who would like to address this issue? No. And Marissa, no emails or no kind of communication sent in regarding this? Okay, seeing no public comment in regards to the hearing of this item, I'll close the public hearing at 7:14. All right, and bring it back to the commission.
Okay, I just have one question for Mr. Young. do you see this as more of a beer wine place with food, or do you think it'd be about a 50-50 thing? Sure.
The idea behind it is more of a beer and wine.
Okay.
The smoker is used on occasion. There's a prep, idea of prep station on the inside of the building. The location of the smoker would be on the, if you're facing the building, it would be on the front left-hand side so that it doesn't impact the business that's directly next to it. There's an electric outlet that's there. It could be plugged directly in, and it would be under a metal roof container.
Oh, okay.
And then roped off with a chain that states, has a sign that states employees access only.
All right, thank you.
Do you have any other questions?
Any other questions?
No, I don't.
Nope.
No, I don't.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Okay, I'd like to, well, first I'd like to say, I think, especially since we have pretty much a go with our chief of police, along with city manager, there was an alcohol license there before. We're not doing really anything too awful different than what was there before. And I think something like this is going to be really good for downtown. So I'd like to move to approve resolution number 2021-10, approving the conditional use permit number 2021-02 and administrative use permit number 202102 in accordance with the findings and conditions in the resolution.
I'll second the motion.
All right. Okay, so now we'll bring it back to the inclusive vote. Commissioner Echegoyen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franklin,
Aye.
Commissioner Clement,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. All right, and moving along to item 6, the progress report. So the proposed Lacie Ranch 156-acre housing project outside the city urban growth boundary.
Thank you, Steve Brand again. I believe we talked about this project before, and so we wanted to give you an update on where we're at and kind of lay out the steps that so that you can expect on what's going to be happening in the next, hopefully, few months. This is a 156-acre residential neighborhood being proposed on the north side of the city. It is partially, but not completely, within the city's growth boundary and sphere of influence. So that'll be one of the decisions is to be moving that growth boundary out. So that's probably the first time we've done that since the general plan was updated in 2008. So that's part of the project. Where we're at right now is because of that move, that some of the area was never evaluated in the general plan EIR, and so we're doing an EIR for this project. There's a consultant that is preparing it right now. They're just about complete. When they're done, then our office is going to peer review that document and make sure that we're happy with it before it goes public. Once that's done, the EIR is going to go out for a 45-day public review period, and this is all in accordance with how CEQA works for EIRs. So that draft will then be available for the public to review and provide written comments on. So any written comments that we get during those 45 days, we'll need to respond to in writing, and then when the entire package comes to you, you'll see the draft EIR, all of the comments that we received, and all of our written responses to those comments. So typically, you don't go back and change the EIR, you just respond to the comments that are given. So that's the process. So if it keeps moving forward like we think, this could be happening, we could be to you for hearing sometime in the fall, I would think. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to add to that. So this project's going to have a general plan amendment, the pre-zoning, because it's not in the city yet, annexation, a tentative subdivision map, and then a planned unit development or PUD. And then because it's such a large project, we'll expect that assuming it's approved, that the final maps would come in phases. So so it wouldn't all be built at once. It's a mix of single family and multifamily housing of different lot sizes. So that's all I have. You can ask me some questions later if you want, but the applicant wanted to address you as well. He's got a little short presentation.
Sweet.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Jeff Roberts. I work for the Lacie Group in Fresno, and our business address is 1396 West Herndon in the city of Fresno, suite number 110. With me at the audience is Rena Reyes in the back row, also with the Lacie Group and part of the team that's working on the Lacie Ranch project. So I want to thank your staff and for the opportunity to speak here this evening. You should be aware that we've been working on this project for a little over 2 years. And while you haven't seen it yet, there has been an awful lot of work that's occurred, and there's still a lot to do, but we thought it was appropriate to provide an update here this evening. So I wanted to thank your staff, city manager, who isn't here this evening, Judy, who is here, Steve, who's here, Frank Rivera, Jeff Cowart, who's a consultant to your engineering department. So they have been a lot of help, a lot of guidance, and we appreciate all the time. So the Lacie Ranch project, as Steve has told you, is 156 acres. It is partially located in your sphere of influence and partially out. It's located at the corner of Lemoore and Lacie, and if the urban growth boundary or the sphere of influence is moved out to Lacie, that'll be the farthest north that the city of Lemoore is at that particular point in time. Altogether, we propose to zone the property or pre-zone the property for 547 units and 204 multifamily units. And then there are parks and trails and other components of the project, which we'll talk briefly about this evening. Also, if you have questions, I can hopefully answer just about any question you have on the project here this evening. So as Steve stated, there's several applications. One is the plan amendment, which decides what land use designations go where, what the colors on the map are, is like what I like to say. The pre-zoning, which will provide the bundle of rights and responsibilities that we have as developers to see the project through. There's this modification to the sphere that Steve touched upon, which moves the sphere line to the north. We would like to annex the entire property, not just the southern or the northern part, but the entire property. The tentative subdivision map, which is in your packet, and I brought along a large graphic here tonight that shows that map. North is toward the top, Lacie would be across the top, and Lemoore would be on the left or the west side. We have to go through a master plan or major site plan review. We also have to cancel the Williamson Act. This property's been in the Williamson Act, which is a taxing benefit for the farmers it's been in there since 1982. And we have to come out of that act in order to do this development, according to Kings County. And then the EIR, the Environmental Impact Report, which is a very large document that looks at all the potential impacts of this project on the city and surrounding area. Everything from farmland to noise, to cultural aspects, to biology, and on and on. The list is pretty big. A little bit of history that it might be interesting to you. We purchased the property in April of 2019. We immediately started talking with staff. We made a very informal presentation to the council in July of 2019, filed all our applications in October of that year, held our first neighborhood meeting, which was a very well-attended meeting at Meadow Lane School just a little south of the project site. Probably 40 folks in attendance and generally supportive. There are a few questions, but I think we addressed most of those questions that evening. We had our EIR scoping session, which is an important required portion of that state process. That occurred in September of 2020. We had another informational meeting to the council. We had our last informational meeting with the council last week. And tonight is our first informational presentation to the commission. So the next part is kind of the best guess on timing. So what we're trying to do is complete our environmental impact report by the end of this month. That'll get turned into the city. QK will then peer review that document, make sure it's up to city standards, and then it goes out for a 45-day comment period. And as Steve said, all the comments are addressed before it ever comes back to you. So with luck and hard work, I think we're going to be back in front of the commission in fall. It might be late fall, but it's going to be fall. And then on to the council for what we hope is the final vote on the project. In this case, after the council, if the council approves the project, we do then have to go to LAFCO to work on the annexation. And that process can't start until there is a certified EIR or environmental document. So we can't jump ahead. We have to do that now. So we hope to continue to have more neighborhood meetings. We've been, like the rest of the world, we've been on lockdown. We couldn't do these during the COVID times. So we hope to have more neighborhood meetings. We hope to make presentations to civic groups, Chamber of Commerce. We've engaged with the school districts early on. We intend to do that again before the hearings. And then make presentations. If anybody wants to have one, we are open to doing that and talking about the project. So, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'm happy to answer any questions. We look forward to continuing work with your staff and have enjoyed a lot of good work product, I think, and that evidence of that is here on this map before you. So I'd be happy to answer questions, and thank you very much.
Sure. Okay.
Any question?
There's canal water right there. What's going to happen with that?
Okay, so I'm going to step to the board if I
Okay.
can. So right now, the canal comes into the site here, down here, here, and then out. There's a connection here that it actually heads south.
Excuse me. Can you just maybe move it over there a little bit more so we can't see the very bottom from,
I'm sorry.
no problem. Thank you.
Okay. So the canal comes in from the east, comes to the site, and then it runs down along the eastern boundary across the southern boundary, and then out into the south. It goes underground.
Okay. So not even through.
But right now, it's above ground. So what we intend to do is to reroute it in a pipe through the project and then head south right down through here, and then have a sail or trail on top of the canal easement.
Is that neighborhood using that water?
This
Or
neighborhood
is-
is not using the water.
Okay. So
There
it's
is
just.
a takeoff today for the farmer, but the neighborhood will not be using that water. It'll flow through the site, but start at the same place and end at the same place.
Okay,
So you won't see the canal when we're done.
Yeah, the farmer's going to continue to get that water.
Pardon?
Farmer's going to continue to get that water?
So we own 100 shares of Lemoore Canal and Irrigation Company rights. And as part of our approval process, you're going to hear more about that.
Okay.
We intend to try and make beneficial use of that water to Lemoore farmers or farms around the area. But we do have water rights that actually they don't run with this land, but they're personal to us. But we're trying to work out a situation where they benefit farming in the Lemoore area.
So it doesn't run with the land?
It
It's
does
not
not.
appurtenant to the land?
It's actually separate from the land.
Okay.
We use
Got
a portion
it.
of it here, but, yeah. So we have met with the canal company and have worked out something we think is a good situation in the EIR when it comes back to you. I'm sure we'll talk about that. I didn't mention the parks. We have 4 parks planned, and you can see a large central park that's about a little over 4 acres that we call Lacie Ranch Park. And that will be a focal point for the community, and it's connected by the trails from the east, the west, and the south. and it'll be easy to access the neighborhood to the south and vice versa. So
Yeah, those are nice.
Mhm.
How many stories are the apartments going to be?
typically they're two.
Okay.
These are not particularly high density. I think the highest density is up to 20 units to the acre, and that's easily accommodated with two-story.
And the lot sizes of the houses?
Okay, great question. We've got, this map shows 3 different basic lot sizes. We have 164 average 4,500 square foot lots. These are the small lots.
Okay.
We've got about 310 medium size, which average 6,500 square feet. We've got larger lots, which we call the estate size lots. They average 9,500 feet, and there's 73 of those. Our smallest lot is a little less than 4,200 square feet. The largest lot shown is a little over 19,000 square feet. So we've got quite a range of lot sizes. Staff wanted to see a range of housing types, so that's what we've tried to do here. I should point out, this is a multifamily site here, and this is one here. And this is a ponding basin, this large blue area.
Very
And
nice.
this is the city's water treatment facility.
Uh-huh.
And that's already in the city limits.
Okay. Okay.
So you have a combination of two-story and single?
Yeah. Depending on what homes get selected, typically there's 1 and 2 story. Depends on what the buyers like, but all these lots would provide for 1 or 2 story homes. Steve, maybe you can remind me of the height limitation in the residential district, probably 35 feet or something. 35, okay, so.
And you say you're in discussion with the school?
We have, and we've had very supportive discussions. I can tell you who I talked to. As soon as I find that sheet. Cheryl Hunt at the Union Elementary School District, and Debbie Moreau, I believe is how you pronounce the name. It's been some time though. It's been quite a while, so I want to reconnect with them now that we can now meet again and talk.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions, comments?
So this is going to be done in phases.
Correct.
Where, do you have any idea where phase 1 will start?
So we had to select some phases for purposes of trying to figure out the impacts of the environmental impact report, because in terms of traffic and air quality, these things get phased in over time. So we think the first phase would be in the south of this line. It's either here or here, but probably over here. But we want to include that park in phase 1, because that park is kind of our central feature. And the idea is to get that in early so folks know there's a sense of place built in from the first day. And then the other phases would be dependent upon the market. It's a multi-year project. It's a fairly large project.
You can see that, yeah.
Probably at some point in time, you'll have all signalization
Correct.
electronically.
Yeah, we don't know what all the conditions are yet. We will learn that as we get close to the planning commission hearing. Typically, you meet with staff and they say, here's what we're thinking on the intersection of Lacey and Lemoore, and here's what we'd like to see on 18th and something else. You know, I mean, we just don't know what those are yet. But I can tell you we're working very closely with staff on sewer connections, the drainage issues, and then several other issues. So,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
thanks for having us, and we're anxious to come back. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, you will need to open this matter to comment from the public. It's not a public hearing, but an opportunity for the public to comment on this item.
All right, thank you. So with that said, given the presentation by the representative from the developer, is there any comment from the public at this time? Seeing none, okay. Moving along to item 7, the director's report. Ms. Holwell.
Good evening, Commissioners. Just a couple of items. We're still working with Master Storage. They are working to revise their site plan that had already been to you. You've already approved it, so they're just making some modifications. We're still working with them. And then we did receive an application for Ray's Lemonade, Flavor Fusion. That's going to be THC infused bottled drinks. That's proposed for a manufacturing facility out in the south in the Lemoore Industrial Park. So we've reviewed the first site plan. We have sent it back to the developer for revisions. So once we get it to where it's able to be brought to you, we will bring it back, and then we can talk more about it at that time.
Speaking of, maybe you're not ready for this question, but is there a number of employment that would take place with this facility?
You know, I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say like 25. Do you remember? We'll have all that
Just curious on
information
the
for you.
scope of the
Yeah,
facility. Thanks.
you're welcome.
I got a question. It's kind of about the project, and I don't know if I can still ask it, but it's kind of general about Lemoore. I understand that's prime ag land over there where we're building this 156 acre subdivision. Have we considered, the impacts of changing the use into people living there instead of using it for farming?
And that will all be reviewed in the environmental impact report. So they are looking at that, and they will have to come up with, what's the word? Conditions to take that land out of the ag zone and into residential. And I know that California wants more residential, but it has to be done appropriately.
Kind of unfortunate that where we're at, if we're going to expand and build, it's on ag land.
Yes,
That's all there is.
yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, item number 8, Commissioner reports request. Any of the commissioners have anything to report? Something special to ask for? No? All right. So I just have one. More of just kind of a general comment. Just really like to send a big shout out to our staff, the developers that the city's been working with. It's always exciting to be able to come in here and to get the package, beforehand, to look at the projects that are being reviewed, to see businesses that are coming in, residential projects that are being considered, and seeing, being able to be part of the growth of our community. So big thank you for all the work that y'all do and for y'all's vision and moving forward with the mission of making Lemoore even better than what it already is. Also, on a very, very personal note, just like to send a huge shout out and heartfelt appreciation for our first responders. About a little over a week ago, had an emergency at the house, and the first response team was lightning quick to be able to get over to the house and help out where they could. Having them there and just seeing them work as hard as they did to help out that situation was. My words aren't enough to express my appreciation. So I'll just leave it at that. So with that, if there's no other comments or concerns, I'll adjourn the meeting. Time is 7:36. Thank you all for attending, and have a great rest of your evening.